Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's edition of Viewpoint. For all this was where we have been talking about politics, and in today's edition of the program, we will shift from politics to education, because it's one of the aspects that we need to talk about in our society. To talk to us tonight, we have teachers who would tell us about the role we have as parents in preparing our children for official exams or examination in general, and the impact of COVID-19 pandemic to the academic year. If there has been one fact or one sector affected by this pandemic, then it should be the educational sector. To talk to us, we have Mr. Mr. Ngafa Silverus Nyanyo. He's the principal of Sprinko. Good evening, sir. Thank you for being there.
Good evening, sir. Mr.
Mange
Venasius Fola.
Yes.
Once more, I'm very grateful to be here today. I want to really talk about this COVID-19 pandemic on education in Cameroon. It has greatly affected the education system in Cameroon.
Okay, all right. We will come back to it because we will take it in step by step so that we follow it the way it comes.
All right.
Yes. Let's welcome Bisong Esther Ara. She is the Dean of Studies in Sprinko.
Yes.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening, Mr. Mange.
Thank you so much for being there.
Happy to be on this too.
It is our privilege having you.
Thank you.
We would be talking about education. You are the Dean of Studies of Sprinko, Spring of Knowledge College, if I'm right.
You're very correct.
All right. Let us take part one, which is the yes or no answer session. We begin with the first question. I begin with the lady who is with us. We are talking about parents having a part to play in preparing children for end of year examination. Do parents have a part to play? Yes or no?
Yes.
Parents have a part. She says, yes, parents have a part. Mr. Ngafai, do parents have a part to play?
Yes, they do have a part to play.
All right, yes, they do. Now, I begin with you, Mr. Ngafai. The COVID-19 pandemic, has there been any impact on studies in this academic year?
Yes, actually.
All right, there has been some impact. We'll come back to the impact in the second part of the program. Any impact on studies with COVID-19?
Yes, sir.
All right. She says there has been this. There are points. Let's take part two of the program so that we can get them out. If you are just joining us, you're watching Viewpoint on DBS television, and we are equally going live on our Facebook page. We begin with question one. You know, when we talk of education, it is a venture that needs the input of teachers, the input of parents, the input of the learners themselves. And most of the time, we parents, we think that it is the duty of the school to make sure that they train our children. That is, we shift our responsibility to the schools. We are asking tonight if parents have a part to play in preparing children for end of year examination. Bisong Esther Ara says parents have a part. Please, can we have this, the duties, that what parents need to do to prepare children for this for end of year exams?
All right. Good evening once more, Mr. Mange.
It's my pleasure.
Yes, as we all know, these children spend time with us in school, but we don't spend the whole day with them.
Mm-hmm.
Our duty is to impact them with the knowledge, and parents on their part have to follow up and make sure that these students are actually receiving the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I talk of receiving the knowledge, what am I trying to say? If a child comes to school, goes back home, and the parent is not even there to follow up, to see if that student copied notes, to see if that child had an assignment, and make sure that the child does that assignment, then the work of the teacher has gone in vain.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the teacher has a role to play in the classroom, and the parent back home is left behind to follow up the child and make sure that the child goes to school. And now, not only following up the child, you see some students in school, they can spend 5 months in the classroom and 4 months they are home. Why? Because of parents' inability to pay fee.
Mm-hmm.
So the parents have their own part to play in that domain. They have to pay the student's school fee so that it can enable the children stay in class and study. And now, parents also have a role to play in the purchase of didactic materials.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way a child can go to school without having textbooks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, looking at our social status, we are not equal. If you don't have the money to purchase the original copies of the books, we have polycopies in shops. Purchase them for the students,
Mm-hmm.
or you can even pay for photocopies. They photocopy the books and they give it to the children. So looking at all this, I think a parent has, or parents have, a great role to play as far as children's preparation of end of year exams are concerned. Thank you.
Okay, but please, when you talk of parents having the role to play, that is what should exist.
Yes.
But the situation on the ground is that is not what we have. We take, for example, a parent in a cosmopolitan city like Douala who leaves the house at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., the child is practically still sleeping and comes back maybe 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. You don't have the time to be with your children.
Yes, sir, that is very true. Mm-hmm. But there is still a way you can follow up the child.
Okay.
It is true that Douala is an economic capital and most of the parents are busy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you don't have time to follow that child up, you can relate with the class teachers of that child.
Okay.
Now, when the student knows that when his or her parent comes back home, the parent is going to call the teacher or an administrator of that student's school to find out if the student was in school or not, it is going to put some fear in that child, and that child will be bound to study.
Okay, who creates that contact? Is it the parent? Am I the one coming to you, the teacher, or teachers too can relate with the parent so that they are able to liaise and work together?
Now, this particular question goes in two ways.
Okay.
If I have a student in class, you have your students, you know them. Now, if I see that a student is somehow
a particular student,
yes, I will try my best to know that child's father or mother, and I try to table some of the things the child is unable to do in school. And now you, the parent, will tell me the child's difficulties back home.
Okay.
So both of us are going to follow up the parents. Are going to follow up the students.
Okay, we'll come back to it. Let us take what Mr. Ngafai, because according to him, he's of the opinion that parents have a role to play in preparing children for exams. When Bisong was talking, she said something about parents following up the children at home. And we discovered that we are in a cosmopolitan city like Douala. Most of your students would be from French background. Yes. You take a parent like me who does not even know anything in English, and I have to follow my child who is doing an English education. How do I go about that?
It's really easy for you to go about that. You know that this is not your field. Yes, in school you have entrusted the children into the hands of teachers.
Yes,
teachers that you actually trust. So it's just up to you. You can create link with the teachers in school, with the class teacher. Now the teacher is there as a second person, like a second parent to that child, to follow up the child very well. Now, as per what you want from the child, just like you said, you are French speaking. The child is following Anglo-Saxon completely. So now the child might not actually be that good in English, but you need to bring the child up in that section. So you need to get an expert in the field, and that expert will only come from the school.
Okay.
Yes, like he's the teacher in class to follow up the child.
But then, how do I do my own part? Because I've brought the child to school, I've given the child to school experts. So how do I do it now? Because when the child will bring his history, call it mathematics or whatever, I'm not even able to understand what they're saying. You see that it becomes complicated perhaps for somebody like me. Oh, madam, am I?
No, you're very correct.
Yes, because I don't. Imagine my child brings his French textbook to me to read. I don't even know how to read French. How would I even know whether what he was doing is correct or wrong?
It is true. It's true. What you are saying is actually true. Now, you as a parent, you know that you don't know anything in the French, as you're saying. Now, but you want the child actually to be good in the French.
Yes.
You get somebody to assist you as the parent. That is an extra mile that you are taking as the parent. That is your own sacrifice that you are helping the child to succeed. It's extra, and that role is played by the parent.
Okay. You are the principal of Spring of Knowledge College. I think if I got the name right.
Yes, Bilingual Comprehensive College.
Correct. If how do you people operate with parents whom you have the custody of their children? How do you operate as a school? How do you relate?
Okay, you are talking about administration,
yes,
parent
school,
relationship.
yes, parent relationship.
Yes, in our system we have a database.
Okay.
We have all the contacts of our parents. So we relate to them one-on-one. We monitor their children like one-on-one. If we see that this child is going wayward, we have to call the parent one-on-one, summon the parent to school. Then we talk to the parent to actually tell the parent that this is what is happening with your child in school. So that the parent too is informed about what is prevailing. So we always advise them too to be very close to the children at home. Anything that is going away from what we are expecting, they do inform us too, so that we have an end-to-end follow-up on the children.
What is the reaction of parents? Is it like, you call me out this school again, they have called, how would I do? How do the parents, the reaction of parents when you communicate with them? Are they cooperative?
I must say that they are very cooperative. Yes, when we call, they react promptly.
When you need a parent in school,
Yes,
they are there.
Yes, they are there. Yeah, they react.
Okay, let's take the Dean of Studies. We are talking about academics here.
Yes, sir.
And when with the ongoing crisis in the northwest and southwest region, schools in the littoral region, central region, especially those from the Anglo-Saxon background, are noted to have had a kind of increase in their enrollment. How do you cope with that increased number and manage studies so that it could go on?
Well, that aspect is not really a great problem to us. Like you said from the beginning, the teaching field is our domain. So we have been trained on how to manage such difficulties, and now with the help of the trained staff we have, by God's grace, so we are actually coping.
Okay.
It's not more of a problem to us.
Preparing students for end of year is exactly exams. You are in the secondary section, and we know we have been talking of mock leading up to the GCE.
Yes, sir.
How is it faring on?
Well, I can say it's not bad. It's not bad. Yes, it's not bad. The students are trying their best, and we as the teachers, we are also making sure that the children should be up to standard before that time.
Okay. You are talking about up to standard. That leads us to question 2. Our question 2, we are talking about the impact of COVID-19 pandemic to studies. You know, we are preparing children for end of year exams, and with the pandemic, the educational calendar was restructured. Some opted for the two shift system.
Yes, sir.
Yes. What are you people doing in your own school?
Now, with us at Sprinkle, what we did is at the beginning of this academic year, we had to change our school program. When talking about the program, I mean the school timetable. Yes. Formerly, in the previous years, we used to have 8 periods per day, but now we have added it to 10.
Instead?
Yes, we have added it.
When the academic calendar was cut off by 1 month, instead of resuming in September, we resume in October.
Yes.
Yes, and then you've added again.
Yes, we added the periods in order for us to meet up with the workload that was left behind.
Okay. So when do you close?
We close at 4:20.
Instead of the normal, okay.
Yes, instead of 3 p.m.
Okay. But now, when we talk of the impact, how has COVID-19 affected the academic year, this 2020-2021 academic year?
All right. The pandemic has greatly affected the lives of students. Now, you see a child, for example, students from the North and Southwest region, let me quote an example from them. Some of them have been at home maybe 3 to 4 years without going to school, and they managed to enter places like Douala last year to study. Now, they didn't even study for up to 6 months, and the pandemic came in. Yes. So, schools needed to be stopped. So, it actually affected these children, because it's like removing fish from water. Then you take that fish back to water,
again,
and the fish does not even last in that water for 5 minutes, and you remove the fish again. You can imagine the impact that absence of water will
cause. Psychological impact.
It is going to affect. So that is the same way the pandemic has affected such children, because they had already started acquiring the little knowledge they had lost the previous years, and now the pandemic had to stop everything. But that notwithstanding, this year I can say there have been some great changes.
Okay.
Yes, because the academic year, though the calendar was reduced, but the students are picking up.
Let us take the principle in the sense of administration.
Yes, sir.
You didn't said something when these students who came, they've been away for 2-3 years, they have not been in school.
That's true.
When they come for admission, what is the basis of your admission? Do you admit them in the previous classes they left, or you admit them to the superior classes?
Yes, actually, when we look at that situation, we see that the crisis started somehow in the academic year. So what we do to admit students, we consider the previous class.
Okay.
We don't admit you. We don't consider the class that you
were supposed to.
Yes.
Yes.
Admit you back to the class that you were before the COVID-19, before the Anglophone crisis. Yes. Such that you can actually start back from the base.
Yes.
You can start like Form 3, for instance, which is a transition class. If you just go to Form 4, you would have not covered all
the material
that was supposed to be covered in Form 3, and that is already the foundation of GCE for Form 5. So we admit you back to Form 3.
Okay, now it takes us back again to the first thing we were asking. Given this particular children who needs particular attention, how do you liaise with the parent?
Yes, when we observe, we are the technocrat in the field here.
That is it.
So when the children comes, we have to observe them for some time. We don't know them actually. So we take 2-3 months to observe them. Now, when we see what actually is supposed to be done on the children to help them, we now get back to the parents and tell them that this is where the child is lacking. We will advise you that you improvise this for the child so that the child can actually cope. So it's now a role on the parents to act to help the children.
Are they acting?
They are doing.
Okay, they're responding.
Yes, they are responding.
Okay, we remain talking about administration. You see, of recent, this issue of indiscipline in schools was so rife in Cameroon. Not only in Douala here, we had it in Kribi, we had it in Yaoundé, we had it in Kumba. So it was not a particular, Douala was not particular. What is the situation in your school?
I must say that Springco is blessed.
Okay.
Because so far we don't have such cases.
Okay.
Yes, we don't have such cases. So we have, there are cases, but minor cases that the school can actually manage without any rioting, without any problem. But those cases that actually will call for attention, we have not had such cases in Springco.
We remain with administration. When Bisong was talking, she said something about the parents should be able financially to sponsor, to carry the weight of the education of their children.
Yes.
With the COVID-19, we had many parents were laid off their jobs.
Yes.
How do you go about it? Did you just accept their children too in school because it was not their fault, kind of, or they had to go to school?
It's actually not their fault, but the school, as
it's not a charity organization.
Yes, it's not a charity organization, so the school needs that they need that part from the parents to function normally. So as a school, from the vision of the school, actually, there have been some considerations.
Okay.
Yes, to an extent to help the parents, but not completely free. Yes, we.
So what you are saying is the school gives some consideration to some parent in terms of school fees.
Yes, in terms of fee reduction. Yes, to help them to in this COVID-19. Yes, so it has been helping some parents to actually cope up with the fee payment and other financial engagement in school. Yes, that is one thing that have helped some parents, like those in the examination classes, to be able to meet up with the purchases of materials to help the children. And that is a school way of helping the parents too in this COVID-19.
Okay, let us take the dean. We are talking about studies. When we come to talk about studies, you see, the dean has to manage teachers' timetable, make sure, are teachers able to cover up the workload that they have? Remember, instead of 9 months academic year, we're likely going to have 8 from what you have as of now. Are teachers measuring up to the demand that was supposed to, at this stage, they were supposed to have covered this percentage of their workload from what you have on the field? Are teachers really responding that way?
Now, if you want to look at the 8 months we have, I'll say no. But now, like I said, we are putting in extra time. We are putting in extra time, and we even go to the extent of having classes on Saturday in order to meet up. So to an extent, the teachers have met up.
Extra time means extra payment.
Extra motivations.
I can say Sprinkle is actually blessed with teachers.
Okay.
Let me put it that way. Our teachers, to an extent, are not money-minded.
They understand that teaching is because they say teaching is a noble profession,
Yes,
which is a vocation.
It's actually a noble profession.
Which is a vocation.
Which is a vocation, yes.
Yes.
Which is a vocation.
It's not. Which is not. It's not just a profession.
So they don't rely solely on the salary they are being paid. They give in extra time more than what is even needed of them in order to make these children succeed.
Okay. Now, you have these parents who are listening to you. Parents who have their children in Sprinkle.
Yes.
If you should talk to them, especially those of the examination classes, from what you have, we just finished with the mock. From what you gathered as your report, what would you tell these parents in relation to the state of preparedness of their children?
Well, I will first of all like to thank the parents for what they have been doing so far, because without them, those children won't be in school with us. So I applaud their efforts, and I want to assure them that their children are not going to let them down. Yes, the children are doing their best, and I'll also like to plead with them to continue following up these children for us, so that at the end, success will be guaranteed. Yes.
You are with your boss.
Yes, sir.
Yes. What would you tell your administration?
Well,
a tough one.
It's not a tough one, actually. It's not a tough one. It's just funny.
Yes.
It's just funny. Well, I'll tell my administration that they are doing a good job.
Of course.
They are actually doing a good job. And I'll plead with them not to relent their efforts, no matter what. Because to be an administrator is not easy. You receive bullets from here and there.
From teachers, from parents,
and
the
students. Yes. So I'll just tell them to keep on doing their best. Yes, they should not look at the bullets they receive to relent their efforts.
Okay. Like the Dean of Studies, will come back to challenges you face as a Dean of Studies. Let us take the principal. Yes, you have to deal, like she said, from three fronts facing you at the same time. How do you cope?
It's actually a tough one, but I want to say that when you are called somewhere, God is there to assist you. Yes, when you have to look at the problem before you solve it, diagnose the problem before you solve it. I have to receive you, I have to receive this person, I have to receive somebody coming in front of me. As per your problem, we'll talk about it and we'll resolve it normally, as you are supposed to. Like, everybody should feel free in the workplace. So I must say that we have been coping well because we have been blessed with understanding parents, teachers, and students. Yes.
About Sprinkle, how is Sprinkle preparing for end of year exam and the parent? How are you preparing to work with the parent to make sure that you've gradually round up this academic year?
Yes, like to collaborate with the parents, we always have meetings.
Okay.
We at the end of the academic year we have a meeting before the exams. Yes, especially from 5 parents and opposite parents, we sit with them now. In that meeting we discuss everything that concerns the exams, and we prepare for the next year. That is in the general PTA meeting. So we have a meeting at the end. We start with the meeting and we end with a meeting too.
Okay.
So we are preparing to have that meeting in the days ahead.
Okay, the meeting is already scheduled.
Yes.
Let's take the Dean of Studies. I was asking the challenges you as a Dean of Studies. Because when you have to deal with Dean of Studies, you have to make sure you are like a disciplined master of teachers.
Yes, sir.
How difficult is that? What are the challenges that you face?
It has not really been easy. It has not been easy. But with God by my side, I've been trying my best. It's not been easy, especially with the teachers. To deal with adults, it's not easy.
Of course, because you cannot shout at them, you cannot beat.
You cannot shout at them. And at times, even when you are pushed to the extreme, they take it upon themselves to be angry. But I always try my best not to like be angry too. Yes, because if you are a shepherd and the sheep gets mad at you,
and you get mad too,
then you automatically lose that sheep.
Yes.
So I always try my best to control my temperament in order to make sure that the school runs successfully.
When we talk to Mr. Ngafai, we're talking to him about administration. When we talk to you, we're talking to you about studies. So when you know the success of studies lies in your hands, if you're addressing your students who would be going in flag bearers of your school of Sprinkle, talk to them.
All right, my dear students of Sprinkle, good evening.
The Sprinkle and other students, because they are watching you generally.
Sprinkle and the world at large.
That is the point.
Yes, good evening. So I would like to say the exams ahead of you is not an easy task on one hand, and on another hand, it is very easy. Let me put it that way. Because success, hard work has never failed anybody. So if you had been studying your books, if you had been following up your lessons in class, if you have been reading your books the way you're supposed to do normally, then I believe at the end of it, you're going to make it. At the end of it, you will see those grades you have been praying for from the beginning of the academic year. So there is no magic to success. There is no magic at all. You just have to keep on reading, and don't forget prayers too, because they say we should put everything in the hands of God. So pray. A little bit of prayer should accompany much work. Please don't go and sleep in churches and pray thinking that manna will come from above and you will receive a magic pen, you write and pass. No, gone are those days. That's if at all such times have ever existed. So you just need to study hard. You still have a little bit of time. You have time to dot your I's and cut your T's. So don't give up. Don't give up.
Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you, sir.
It was a pleasure having you on Viewpoint.
Pleasure is mine.
And we expect that next time we'll knock at your door, you will be available.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Ngafai, thank you for being there.
Thank you, sir.
It was a pleasure having you on Viewpoint.
Thank you, sir.
We will be glad to receive you in subsequent editions.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we had time for today's edition of the program. Up next would be the news in the English language with staff lady Cynthia Nguemo. Until we meet again, have a blessed evening and goodbye.